This Liberty Sports Update is brought to you by Beacon Credit Union.
Awesome, yeah, we'll do it. Obviously, it was a big kick. I think Allen said it was the biggest kick in Liberty football history. If it wasn't, I'd like to see the one that was. But biggest deal is I'm proud for that kid. He's been through a lot. Even this season, he didn't start out the way he wanted to. I think he was. I didn't know this at the time, but I think I heard he was 3 of 6 or 2 of 6 before that kick on field goals of 30 yards or more, and just that's one thing you like about him. He doesn't flinch. If you watch him in the course of a game, he's into the football game. When we're on offense, he's the first one to give a guy a high five after a big catch, or a defense is out there comes off the big stop. He's the first one to go high five those guys coming off the field. So he's a football player that kicks. He's not the typical specialist mindset like I've talked about beforehand, but just happy for him, and obviously. I'm sure there'll be some stories written about it. Guy had been going to school here the last 3 years, just going to school, and now he's kicking game-winning kicks against Virginia Tech. His parents were there, which is awesome. They drove up from the Georgia area and got to go watch it, and it's awesome. Big deal for this football team.
All right, first question comes from Damian Sortledad from the Lynchburg News in Advance.
Tanner, you brought this up over the summer about how it was probably one of your best recruiting pitches that you've made in your young career was to Alex Barbier, 24 hours after Alex Probert elected to transfer to Iowa State. What do you remember from that process and hearing his backstory of how he had hip surgery at Penn State, was done with football, he was focused on graduating, getting a job, and moving on, and how much did you have to work him over to make sure he knew that he could give this a go?
Yeah, I told Coach or the guys, the defensive staff was giving me a hard time in our little group text that I got to change one of my recruiting areas to the LaHaye. Just get them over there and start, checking out the guys doing the curls, see if they could kick. But so I'll never forget. I was sitting eating breakfast at our new, dining hall we have over there in the tower, and I was sitting next to Bevins and somebody else, and Mock had mentioned to me about this kid, so I asked Coach or Matt Bevins about it, and he said he thinks he's on campus. Mock sent me his number, and I think there was a 3 or 4 day stretch. So I reached out to him that day, met with him that day, that afternoon, kind of just told him about myself and our kicking situation, and told him to kind of sleep on it, talk to his family, and I think it was 3 or 4 straight days, about an hour apiece, where I was just trying to talk to him and convince him to come. And boy, I'm glad I did. But the main thing his was concerned was, I didn't want to. I think it was only a couple of weeks before spring ball started, and he said he didn't want to come and me judge him based off how he was going to kick in spring ball and kicking too much. When kicking's a unique thing. Once you stop doing those muscles, they're not used to doing those type of things when you're just running or biking or lifting, which we all know he does pretty well. But those things, he just wanted to make sure that I wasn't just going to judge him. I wasn't going to kick him 50 kicks his first practice, and then I'm saying, oh, this kid can't play or whatever, or get risk of getting him hurt. And that was kind of the biggest spiel as far as, hey, I'll take care of you. If you don't want to kick till after we have spring ball or after spring break. Now, obviously, spring ball changed because of the COVID issues, but just communicating to that kid that we needed him. Kind of our kicker situation, we didn't have anybody that's played any college downs, and we've heard good things about you, and just excited for you and this opportunity to, obviously try to win and earn a job, which he has done.
Now, he said he couldn't kick for about 3 months because of a groin injury. Do you remember when that happened? Was it in spring, or was it when he was working out on his own after COVID kind of put a pause on things?
Yeah, it was after spring during the COVID time. It was kind of early summer, late May, I believe it was, where he's kind of. So I told him first I just want you to focus on field goals. Don't do kickoffs. Just work on your field goal steps, your rhythm, your process of going how to do it, and then once we get into fall camp, then we'll start focusing on kickoffs, because that really kind of takes more wear and tear on your leg than field goals do. And it was kind of right when we had started back into him trying to hit some kickoffs, and I think it was his first day hitting some 3-step kickoffs and tweaked it a little bit, but. And then, like I said last time, he missed the first week of fall camp this year because his roommate had COVID. So, it's kind of always something. But there's not a guy on this team, I would say, that takes care of his body more than Alex does. You could come down here any time of the day. He's either going to be in the cold tub, hot tub, those Thero guns or whatever they call them, He's always doing something. He was doing it on the bus ride up to Virginia Tech. So he's always doing something to take care of his body, and he's a pro in that aspect.
All right, next let's go to John Manson from Acia Bread.
Coach, take us back to Saturday. I know you always watch him and your kickers there in warm-ups just to get a feel of how they're doing that day with the weather and the elements and everything. What was your feeling, going into the game as to, his distance that day? And also, just take us back to, that final drive. What's your thoughts and, conversations with Coach Freeze as to where you felt comfortable sending him out? Also on the first one that was blocked and everything, and just all the conversations leading up to those kicks there at the end.
Yeah, as soon as we got the ball, so as soon as they went down, got for two, I told Coach we had to get to the 35-yard line to give us a chance. So that was kind of the number there. Then, with the clock being 10 seconds, it was kind of an awkward situation because if you run the ball and don't get the first down, you wouldn't have time to go Mayday field goal. And if you got it and, did get the first down, then you'd always have a chance. But, I think they stopped us on that third down play, and Coach decided to kick the field goal even though we weren't to the 35-yard line. Just kind of 8 seconds left, I think we're on the clock. But then, obviously they blocked it. And I didn't hear the whistle, but, I could see our guys' reaction. You could see it on film, like all the O-linemen and even Barbier kind of like pointed like, a whistle was blown. But then when they chased it all the way down, usually, the play is blown dead. Both officials on both sides kind of echoed the call, and the guy on our side ran down there and signaled touchdown. I was like, oh, gosh, here we go. They're going to call it inadvertent whistle or, something. But luckily we got to play the next down and went for it on fourth down, I guess it was. Got a little 5-yard out. They're playing off coverage there and kind of got us into our field zone that we felt good about it. Another thing, so when we do pregame warm-up, they'll come out early, and then we'll go to the sideline, and we'll always say, all right, Barbier, what are you thinking here? And Barbier says, you just tell me where the ball is. That's kind of what you like about him. What hash do you feel more comfortable on? It doesn't matter. He just wants the opportunity to have those kicks and make those kicks. And so then I usually have to go to Austin Mock, and he'll kind of give me a realistic number because Barbier will say, I'm good from 80, or whatever the case may be. But Mock will always kind of give me the real, so we'll do that with, aid and, hey, what yard line do you want to pooch, going this way with the wind, all that kind of stuff. So it was a 35-yard line going the way we kicked it. It was the 37-yard line going into their big scoreboard would have been the opposite end. But going into that way, there wasn't a whole lot of wind on Saturday, but there was a little bit into his face on that kick, and obviously he hit it pretty good.
How far do y'all typically kick in practice, and what's the longest you've seen him make one from?
The longest I've seen him make one from, it was 56. But our rule is we don't get to hit any balls until we hit 7 consecutive inside 40. So if we hit 7 consecutive inside 40, then we could go get some deep ones. But if we don't, we're not. We're not going to, kind of like free throws. No one wants to work on the chip shots, but those are the ones you get most in the games. And we got to be able to capitalize. Our goal is 100% from 40 and in. We've got to be 100% from 40 in. That's points. And then anything after that, the deeper you go, the less percentage. But, we have that analytics, and I often share that with our guys. It ranks like their punt returner versus our punt returner, their punter versus our punter, their kicker versus our kicker. Their kicker was really good. He was hitting 68 yards before the game like it was nothing. He's a good player, but it gave – the thing we shot, I looked at it's on my desk now, it gave Alex Barbier a 20% chance to make a 50-yard field goal going into it, and obviously he made it, so they were wrong. We need to get our money back on that deal.
Coach, I've got one for you. Malik said after the game that he couldn't watch the ball go through, and I imagine that some players are like that, but for you, what were your emotions, and where were you watching, and just take us through that.
Yeah, it's funny. I told the guys this story. I had a kicker named Connor Limpert who played for me at Arkansas, and he hit 4 game-winning kicks against Ole Miss. He actually sent me that video on Saturday morning on the bus trip there. And I went up to Alex Barbier in the third quarter. I said, hey, this game's going to come down to you winning a field goal, and you're going to make it, and they're going to do a story about you. And obviously you fast forward, and it came true. But, he's a great kid. He earns it, and usually I don't like the Connor Limpert situation. I didn't watch not one of those kicks. They iced him 3 straight times, and he made 4 kicks. I didn't watch one of them. On Saturday, I was watching the protection more so because obviously they just blocked the one the play before, and then as soon as he kicked it, I knew it was good. And if you guys go look back, I mean, the ball's not even to the 30-yard line, and Alex Barbier's running down the sideline. He knew he hit it pretty good, so it was a pretty special feeling.
All right, let's get to Emily Austin from Flame Central.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Do you know how much Alex can bench press and how much he can squat?
I don't, but I'd say it's up there with the rest of them. He'll be able to tell you if y'all interview him today. I guarantee he'll tell you the exact
Okay.
number. But
All right, yeah, maybe I'll ask him at practice tomorrow.
as many weights that we have down there, I think he'll at least be able to put a little bit of it up.
I can imagine. All right, cool. Thanks.
He probably could have lifted them all after that kick on Saturday, right?
Y'all should see that one of the highlights of my time is I'm a real superstitious guy, and so I always leave the locker room 10 minutes on the dot to go out to the field to put my headset on pregame. Every time you'll see me at 10 minutes exactly. And as I walk out, Barbier's always doing. We got like these these rollout. I forget what they're called, but these heavy bars basically that they roll on their quads and stuff. That's what they're meant for. And Barbier's over there right when we're walking out. He's always doing curls right before he goes out for pregame. So he gets excited about some weights now.